And call the meeting to order at 4:30 p.m. We're doing remote attendance pursuant to State Executive Orders 2020-07 and 2020-18, which temporarily suspend the in-person presence requirements and eliminate the limitation on remote access of the Illinois Open Meetings Act. The full text is in the agenda. So I will request a motion for the consent agenda, which includes the approval of agenda, approval of March 18, 2020 minutes.
I'll move.
Okay. I need a second.
I'll second.
I second.
Okay. Sorry, I don't have everybody written down. So no discussion. Got Michael, Greg, hang on. All right, so Sophia?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
Susan? Are you on mute?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Yes. And Amy, sorry.
Yes.
We got everybody. Oh, and there's Carl. But he wasn't quite here yet. So so then Rick, is there any public comments? And any written communication from the public?
None.
Okay. So we'll go ahead with the city librarian's report.
I'm going to keep my part relatively brief, but we'll focus a little bit on statistics. You guys have already all met Michelle Whitehead. She began her duties on March 1st. Robert took the lead on the training there. One of the things we wanted to achieve, and we did, is we wanted her to spend time in each department and sort of see how all the pieces fit together, and we were able to get that done. So we're glad about that. And early in the game, she's working out very well. So we're very pleased. I've been working on the Directors University Planning Committee. Directors University is done by the State Library and the Illinois Library Association. It used to be a 1-week in-person intensive training program for new directors, but now it's over the course of a few months and remote. Also continued to work on the ILA Awards Committee and the ILA Executive Board. I'm gonna, instead of going into all the stats, what I'm gonna do now is share a PowerPoint with you, and then I'm gonna let the vision heads, I don't want to step on anybody's report, so I will start with this. You guys asked last month if we could look at 3 years of statistics rather than just the last 2. So Michelle helped me prepare this. Want to point out that one of the numbers is wrong. The number is wrong by the guy who put the numbers in, not by the lady who made the chart. It's off by 6, and I've fixed it on the statistics. But so this is circulation in March for 2019, 2020, and 2021. March is an interesting case because that's when we closed down last year on March 17. So we were open for approximately half of the month. You can see the overall circ numbers, 2019 were 27,000, and for 2021, or 2020, 21,000, and a little higher that in 2021. So we went up just a fraction. Yes.
Can you let Carl in again?
Oh yeah.
Sorry. I know you're.
I'm gonna have to stop the share to figure out how to do this. There it is. Okay. Let's see. Back to this. So I want to point out that these numbers include renewals, and they include electronic circulation. So books borrowed on Hoopla, books borrowed on Library on the Go, etc. The only number that went down from 2019 by audience is children's. Children's circulation declined slightly. So, and those are the percentage changes. We went up by 1%. This is looks great. Almost 22% increase in young adult circulation, but you got to remember that's a very, very small part of our overall circulation. So this is the 2019. These are the actual numbers for the entire year of 2019.
Mhm.
In the middle is the actual numbers for the entire year of 2020 and the 2021 projection. I don't have a good model to project 2021 because it's not like last year where we're going to be completely closed for 3, 4, 5 months. But again, it's not like 2019 or 2018 because people are still, I think, a little hesitant to go out in public. And I really think that these projected numbers are going to go up quite a bit over the next couple of months. I just don't have a good model to do that with yet.
Yep. That's fine.
So that projected change looks awful, but I think that's going to change. Here's our 12-month trend. So this isn't by calendar year. This is the last 12 months. This is what we did in total circulation, the 12 months prior and the 12 months prior to that. So this only includes a little bit of the pandemic, this April 2019 to March 2020. And this latest one is all pandemic. So you can see what a profound effect that has had on the numbers. And this is the change in the 12-month trend. It's pretty awful, 67% overall. So this is looking at the same numbers, only instead of breaking it down by adult, children, and young adult, we break it down by type. So physical books, magazines, videos, audios, and electronic materials. You can see that, so electronic materials, although really robust improvement, is still a pretty small portion of the overall picture. Even this in 2021, it's just March of 2021, it's a very small part of the overall picture. The change is that what we saw the biggest growth in was books. 8%, 16% in magazines and periodicals. This is in March, the month of March. And this 8% growth in book checkout, that's still our biggest type of item we check out. So that has a pretty big impact. It overcomes these big drops in some of the other formats. So again, projected change, I don't have any confidence in that right now. 12-month trend, we're looking at, look at this huge increase in electronic materials from 34,000 to a little over 50,000. So that is the biggest good news that we've gotten throughout this pandemic. Now, what we need to see, what's going to be interesting to see is if that is maintained once we get back to normal. Here's the 12-month trend in percentage change. Again, 32% increase in electronic materials. Oh goodness, I don't know what I just did there, but everything else is back. I guess that was the last slide. So, any questions on the circulation numbers?
Hey, thanks for doing that. That really
Don't do those. I'll do those.
makes it easy to
Okay.
understand now.
Send me the others. Okay.
It gives it more context.
Mhm.
When you look at 2019 also, but it's just, usually by March, April, you can begin to do a fairly solid projection because there's some predictable ups and downs throughout the year, seasonal ups and downs. But I don't know what to expect this year.
Okay.
It'll be better than last year because unless something gets terrible and we close down for 4 months.
Yeah. I mean, I was just in there today and it seemed pretty happen, you're like, similar numbers. I mean, so we'll move on to division head reports. Robert, you ready? You got
Yes,
you got a different background this week?
Yeah, this celebrating Jazz Appreciation Month.
Oh, I
That's
see.
Miles Davis right there. So I could
And
put
it's
the
like-
music on and have a little background music going while I'm talking if you want.
Also, your name is Celebrating Jazz Appreciation.
Right. But you know, it doesn't show all of it. It just shows a portion of it. You only have so many characters you can use. So it was either that or the Black Panther. So the Black Panther, we've done that already. And I'll start with the admin. Admin, as Rick said, we actually, you know, we had Michelle come in and she finished her initial onboarding process. And so it's been, you know, a lot of sorting out up here in admin, finding out, you know, we have a new job description that we added. Well, it wasn't new, it was one that we brought back from a while back. And so Michelle, she's just fit right in there perfectly. Betty Jo is administrative assistant. She's kind of worked right into what some of the other tasks that, you know, Rick and I were doing, and she's taking those right. And she's just really doing a really great job. We have, in addition to our regular training, we've had some HR training sessions with like last week, it was ADA and employee behavior. So we're working those trainings into, also working through some of the processes that are going on over at the city. I submitted to Rick, I've been talking to Mike Pritchett about getting a facilities report. And so Mike started with this guy's he's been working with the maintenance crew so they can start putting some of those things down in a report that they do every month. Like last month, I think they finished up the HVAC monitoring system. They did that, and they did some work on the chiller, and they had some more things that they came in and did, you know, as far as setup and working on in the maintenance part of it. For circulation, I gave you the majority of the numbers. We took a deep dive. Our lowest point in the last 3 years was last May 2020. And we have been coming up since then. We sort of dipped a little bit October, but December, ever since December, we've been upwards. So it's my job to tell Rick it's going to be great. And we're going to have all the people we had in here in 2019. So that's part of my job. And so I'm saying that it's going to be, my projection is we'll have even greater numbers in May and June. We'll be knocking it out of the park. So I'm very positive about that. We have some new people in our staff. Well, actually not new. They've got promotions. Shakira Powell, she passed her 6-month evaluation period. So she's permanent clerk now. Janet Denton went to clerk 2. She's real happy with that. And also we had Robert Davis, who was promoted up from the page to being a clerk. And so he's liking that. And we did all of this, we did the moving around, and we still saved about, you know, $10,000, I think, with the way we readjusted things in the circulation department. So that's pretty much all of it, except for Rick will probably cover the quarantine if he hasn't already, that we're thinking about changing with the items coming in.
Yeah, I'll just throw that in now because it's not an agenda item. It's, you know, there was an update that came out from CDC a couple days ago, and it talked about surface transmission of COVID, and their finding was even with contact with an infected surface, you only have a 1 in 10,000 chance of contracting COVID from that surface. So we'll have to change some processes and procedures, and that'll take some time. So we're shooting for May 1st of ending quarantining items that are being returned to the library.
Yeah,
now,
I asked about that today.
It's all contingent upon community spread too. If it gets bad again, you know, we may walk back from that, but that's our plan right now.
Because IHLS, I got an email from them saying that they're ending their quarantine. So
many libraries are, not all libraries. If you do a risk assessment and you look at community spread and the chances of contracting COVID from a contaminated surface, and you take into account much of that frontline staff is vaccinated. Once they're fully vaccinated, those chances go to approximately 1 in a million. So
that's very
good. And we've been taking the precautions, and In addition, one thing we've done, we haven't really released out to the public since we first did it, is that we still have 5 additional days for our checkout. So, people are getting the extra days so things won't come back late and stop their cart. So.
That's great, because I have been a little bit late recently. All right, any questions for Robert? All right, we will move on to Becky.
Hi. Okay, so things that are happening and that are going on. In the month of March alone, we did 34 in-depth requests, which means these were requests that can be done over weeks, periods of time. And since I was gone for most of March, Leanne was in charge of all of those requests, and she did a remarkable job and got every single one of them done. So 34 is a big number for us. The other really cool thing that you guys need to know about is that on May 3rd, which is a Monday, we will be opening back to our full hours minus Saturdays. So that means that Local History Room will be open from Monday through Friday, 10 to 5. And then Saturdays will be by appointment only. We need about 24-hour notice in advance so that I can make sure somebody is here. The reason we're not opening on Saturdays is I do not have the staff for that right now. The volunteers are kind of a little iffy on whether or not they want to be in there on Saturdays. And I don't have the numbers to prove that Saturday is viable. So with my old check numbers, even back before COVID, before all of that, I just don't have the numbers for it. We're still doing a lot of our work. A lot of the requests are coming in kind of from a remote way. They're either coming in by phone or they're coming in by email. Then we're still not getting all of the people back into the room, but we're getting a lot of the people, say, virtually, basically. So we've been doing a great job that way. So there you go. Let's talk about local history.
Thank you. Questions for Becky? All right, Alyssa, you're up. And you have a graphic? Or?
We don't need that yet. I don't want to take your eyes off of me yet. So I decided to talk about Summer Reading Program 2021. So in 2019, I would have said we had close to 2,000 people signed up in adult, teen, and children's. Last year, I don't think we hit 1,000. It was an unusual year. It was our first online start. Eventually, we opened up and we had people coming and participating. And so this year, much like circulation, we're anticipating a midway point between 1,000 and the 2,000. And we've been brainstorming for months how we're going to do this concerning Bridge 5 and Phase 5, if we're going to get to do that or not, how we will do it until then. But I can tell you some interesting things. We're doing a lot of new things. So for instance, this year we are not using iRead, their graphics or their prizes for this year. We actually designed it ourselves, our own Casey Styling. Now you can hit the picture. She has come up with Read Decatur, Summer Reading Program 2021. And we're going to use monsters. Monsters. There we go. So this is 2 of the, I believe, 4 monsters we're using. And you might recognize the orange guy. He is in Central Park. We know the artist is Jason Albright, and Casey Styling has connections with him, and she reached out to him to see if we could use him, and he gave her permission to create him digitally. And this is actually the graphic that we're going to use for the children's t-shirts that we get every year that they will win as they reach goals. Probably going to order that on a nice purple t-shirt so that it all stands out really nice. You can put that away now. Thank you so much. So Casey did all the graphics this year. We're real excited to use it. Everybody seems to be on board with doing our own thing. And the whole idea is to support and celebrate our community because everybody had to close down and lots of small businesses were hurt. So we've decided to, instead of going to them asking for donations, we're going to take our patrons to them. So instead of a summer reading kickoff in Central Park like we did in 2019, Alex Frazier has come up with a summer fun run. So think like the Casa Coffee Run or a poker run, although we're not going to say that. And we have multiple partners, Decatur Area Arts Council, the Friends, the DISC, Macon County Conservation District, Children's Museum, Girl Scouts, Thinkwell, Dells, Sloan's, Baby Talk Casa. We probably will also have Coney's, Giggles, Avon, and Novel Ideas. And we have reached out, or they had already joined us, Paw Print, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and Old King's Orchard. And the idea is that we're going to give them the opportunity to meet our patrons. And it's going to depend upon them. If it's going to be virtually or in person, we have multiple possibilities. We're going to create kits with flyers for events that our patrons can pick up from multiple locations that have already been determined, including Decatur Public Library. And then it will all come back to us. But the idea is, as they go to these different locations, they can get stamps. They're probably gonna be like monster stamps. And if you get, say, 12 or 15 out of 20, you'll be entered into a prize drawing. And it's going to start, run from June 1st to June 10th. You can start collecting your kits on May 24th. And like I said, there might be, you can't actually enter the building of the site that we're partnering with, but there might be a clue somewhere that if you can identify it, that will be your stamp. Or if you want to inquire, how do I get my pup signed up to be in the paw print ministry? If you fill that out and turn it in, that becomes a stamp. If you want to find out how to be a CASA volunteer, you fill out that form to get that information, that becomes a stamp. And if some places are open to having our patrons come inside, when you go inside, you can get a stamp. So we're really excited, and it's happening really soon. So we really need to get started. That's enough for now. I could talk for
That's just a month away.
I know. Hurry.
That sounds amazing. That is really exciting.
We have amazing
And I
staff.
love the graphic. It's so cute.
It's
The
so
kids are going to
cute.
love it. It's really sweet. I thought it actually looked great on white too. I mean, it stands out really well.
But the big Yeti monster is white. That was
Yeah.
our only thing.
No, I think it'll look great on purple too. I'm just saying it looked great on the white background also.
Yeah, it's eye-catching.
All right. Any other questions for Alyssa? All right, excellent. So now it's Matt.
So we now have our service agreement reinstated with Biblioteca. I think last month it started again, and they've already fixed 3 problems. They've returned our reporting tile so we can get more accurate counts on detections and people coming in and out of the library. They fixed a gate computer problem, software problem, and they've also fixed a dead RFID pad. So it's probably already paid for itself.
Do you want to explain what Biblioteca is for some of our newer?
Sure, that's the company that we buy all of our RFID equipment from, our gates, our self-check machines.
Mhm.
Um,
Just go ahead.
But we had 192 help requests last month, or in March. Well, that is last month. That's 191% increase, even though we were closed for part of last March. It's a pretty big jump for us, Chris and I. We've also been working on getting some of our paper forms converted over to internal online forms. That's a little time consuming. And then Chris is working on a problem with connecting. Some of our computers want to connect to Richland instead of the ICN, and he's been working quite a bit on that with our switches in the building and stuff. So it's time consuming for him. And we've also got 3 more. I'm reading from the script. We've got 3 more patron computers out. So we've got 16 of our 25 patron computers now in use or available for use. And that's about it.
Great. Any questions? All right, thanks, Matt. All right, and then up to you, Carol.
Hey, I actually have a fun thing. Thanks to Rick reminding me I had a fun thing. I'm on the Share Executive Council, and they have recently identified a mobile app for the library that will, I like to say it's the app that will bind them all, because there's really nothing this app won't do. We won't have to use a whole bunch of side apps like we've been doing. So people can use their mobile phone. They can literally be in a bookstore and scan a book's barcode and know which library has it. And then all the other things we're able to do, like curbside, self-check. It's going to integrate our e-resources for discovery, cloud library, Overdrive, Hoopla. The base app, of course, won't have all that. Probably a few of us will pay extra to get templates and branding and marketing. And another nice thing about this, Share will be paying for it for 3 years. After that, it will be no more than $100 per library. And then you'll have to pay extra, like I said, for the templates and extra stuff you want to add on. But this is extremely exciting because apps are proliferating and patrons get confused, but it's a mobile app society now. So this will really be just, you know, with your phone, you can do it all. You don't have to move around a variety of devices. There's a long list of items that this thing can do, and there's a lot of information on the web if anybody wants more information, or if you have questions. That's kind of a big overview of.
Do you know when?
Do. Yeah, it looks like in May there'll be a vote. And then so far all the signs point to everybody wanting it. And then if it passes, this could start as early as July. So really good timing. So a lot of good things happening.
That's awesome.
Carol, it's been I think over a year that we've been looking at this, and so I saw the initial demo over a year ago. But if I remember correctly, can't you use this app to check out materials in the stacks?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it acts as a self-check. That may be an add-on feature. It may not be part of the base. I'm not sure, but it's RFID and self-check.
I love it.
That's a feature that you can opt in or not. Some libraries won't opt in, but we will. So that's pretty exciting. Everything's pretty much back to normal in TS. Our shipments are flowing again, which is great. Hopefully they will continue. Our suppliers have had some trouble getting things to us in time, but they seem to be a little more on schedule. We got a large shipment this week, so we're happy to have that.
Awesome. Any other questions for Carol? All right.
The app is called Solus, S-O-L-U-S. So if you wanted to find out about it, the easiest way is to just type in Solus Library app. And it's a UK company. It's not a real big company, but it's growing fast. And it's, yeah, it's impressive.
Awesome. Well, I will let you guys go if you wanna take off.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. All right. Well, we'll move on to the PPPR committee. Mine still says November. Mine
does too.
Well,
I didn't catch that apparently.
Mine does too. I'm sorry. I will change that.
So we had a meeting. It was like the 1st or something. So,
it was April 1st. April 1.
And I was the chair of that one. So we did the personnel update. We've already kind of talked about that.
We've covered that so far. Yep.
Yeah. So we'll move on to the meeting room policy. We basically took out the language about the individuals, and we discussed making once we start working on meeting rooms, that we will actually create a meeting room policy specifically for individual use. And that kind of had to do with the building committee as well. Right? Am I remembering that right?
Well, as far as the policy change, the only change we made right now was to remove the language about individuals.
Yes. So it was like the second sentence.
But that we would consider that. We're going to look around at some of our neighbors' policies and see if we want to include that. But for now, we removed the language saying about individuals. So what's in your packet is that's simply all we did. Is there was a phrase that referred to in the first or second sentence about individuals, and we changed it to organizations.
And it was just to be consistent throughout the document.
And I'm still doing, homework, and I'll give the personnel committee next month, kind of a summary of what some of our neighbors do. I know about one library so far, so I still have some work to do on that.
That's what I was missing, that we did discuss other libraries. So I will take a motion to accept the revised meeting room policy.
I'll make the motion.
Okay,
Second.
all right. So any other discussion or questions? All right, then we'll go down the list. So Susan? You're
Yes.
okay. Sophia?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Greg? Are you on mute? Greg? Yep, he's on mute.
Just trying to unmute.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, thanks. Kate?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
And Samantha, yes. All right, then. Policy. Oh, and Carl, sorry. You got kicked out and then I didn't write you down. So we got lots of people here. Okay. So that one passes. So then we move on to the city librarian's professional goals for 2021. Do you want to show that?
Yeah.
So these are the goals that Rick provided, and then we discussed. We thought all of these were good, actionable goals, and so we thought to recommend those for, I guess, approval. It says action, so we can do a motion. All right, so does anybody want to make a motion or discuss?
I'll make the motion.
Okay,
Second.
all right, so these are going to be the goals for 2021 for Rick. So we'll go down the list. Susan?
Yes.
Sophia?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Samantha? Yes. All right, you have your goals for 2021. So we'll move on to the DEI. So we did have a meeting with the DEI committee. I don't know, Robert, if you want to go over kind of what's happened. A lot of more has changed, or Carl.
No, Robert.
Yeah. Sure. Either one of you guys can speak on it. We've, at the last meeting, the last EDI meeting, we actually we came up with some deadlines, a timeline that we were going to follow, or we were going to try to follow, send in qualifications, and actually working our way toward RFI to send to consultants, and also getting a list of consultants. So the lady who we were looking at, she informed us that she basically has a couple of more long-term jobs that came up, as well as the job with ALA, American Library Association. So she said that she would basically only be available for short-term, which kind of worked in our favor because we were looking more at her being short-term anyway. So with her, she did send a proposal to me this week for short-term services, and you know, working with what the committee had decided, I also reached out to two more consultants, actually one more consultant, and I got about 5 names, and it was Library Strategies. Like, I talked with her today, Elaine, I can't think of her name, but last name, but she gave me some consultants that she's going to send me so we can add those to our list. So in summary, we basically, we did meet, we got a timeline. We're supposed to come back with the list of consultants. We're going to send those consultants requests for information, and then we'll go through a process of choosing the consultants. And then we'll be looking at a start time training no later than June. So hopefully next month we can get that April, end of April, beginning of May, we can get that decision process of who we're gonna go with, get that completed by the month of May. So
Yeah.
sort
And we had also requested a few, like, we all submitted names of consultants we knew, and some of them are also community
right.
based.
Yeah, yes, and that was one of the things that some of the committee, they wanted to suggest, some of the consultants in this area. So there is the option out there, or, the possibility, we may be able to do like we did before when we worked with Library Strategies. We worked with Library Strategies and we worked with a local consultant also. So they were able to work together. And talking with the representative from Library Strategies today, she said, with them in the past, it's not been a problem working with other consultants. So, and also she mentioned that if the library decided to go with her, with their group, Library Strategies, to update our strategic plan, they wouldn't have a problem working with what we've put forth now. So we wouldn't be looking at paying double for the same work or anything like that. So they would consider the lens that we come up with at this point and work with that. So.
Right. Yeah. Carl?
It was just a very fruitful meeting. We got a lot of core dates set, and I'm hoping that, as Robert alluded to, we are able to live up to those, that we're able to get something going soon within the next couple of months for the library. It's a big deal. So
We've been talking about it a long time.
yeah, like I said, we haven't talked about it for a while, so I'm excited to see it actually come to fruition, so to speak. So
yeah,
we're looking forward to it.
All right, awesome. So the only other discussion, we basically talked about the bylaws, and so we're still working on that. So anything else I'm missing? Okay, so we'll move to Amy, the finance properties.
We had a meeting yesterday. We reviewed the check register, which was all normal, and recommended to you all for acceptance of the check register.
All right, a second.
I second.
All right. Whoever wins that. So discussion. All right. So we'll start with Susan.
Yes.
Sophia.
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Greg.
Yes.
Kate.
Yes.
Amy.
Yes.
Carl.
Yes.
Samantha. Yes. All right. The check register passes.
Great. And then we also discussed the budget and a couple of items just to keep in the back of your head. Nothing needs to be done immediately, but we need to think about it going forward. Greg advised us that because of the change in this is all kind of down in the weeds, but because of the change in the city's dredging project, it's likely that payment in lieu of property taxes are going to be down going forward. So that's just something to be aware of. And the second thing to be aware of, I was very interested to hear, is that our experience and the experience of other libraries is that these big databases are not being necessarily completely used. So when we look at the budget again, we may want to evaluate whether or not we want to buy all of these databases. And in fact, Rick is recommending a pullback. So nothing needs to be done now, but just wanted to let you know.
Okay.
Also, as an information item, Greg updated us that the city staff is working to assess some of our big parts of the property, the roof, the HVAC system, and look at what our needs might be going forward. And in addition, he talked to us about the landscaping out front. So I don't know, Greg, you want to say anything else about that?
Oh, you're doing fine. You're doing fine.
We're just, we wish it were better. We're working on some things. Greg will have more information for us going forward.
And Samantha, you and I can have maybe a phone call about that in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
There's some, okay.
All right. Anything else? Okay. Foundation. Just we're having a meeting.
They'll be meeting the 29th. I will be putting a project in front of them for approval. There are other bodies that will have to approve this project, namely you guys and the city of Decatur. But it's about the sign on Franklin, the big one that says Decatur Public Library, and under it, it used to say, what was the mall called?
Yeah.
The Village Mall. Yeah, under it, it used to say Village Mall, and sometimes you can still see it.
Oh,
Just
Village
like-
Mall,
right?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's where it says Village Mall, instead we'll have what I'm proposing is a LED message sign. We've gotten a quote. I'm going to put that in front of the foundation to approve funding of it. But this is something that council will have to weigh in on, I believe, is what Deputy City Manager Kinseth told me. But somebody at the city is going to have to weigh in, and you guys are going to have to be okay with it. So once they approve the funding, I will be bringing it to you guys, and we'll then if you guys want it,
Are we
we'll send it to
also
the city.
looking?
And
Are we also looking at updating the sign above it with like covering it?
I haven't found out yet who did that work for us. But we replaced that. It's basically a lens, and there's lights behind it. But we replaced it a few years ago, right before we got a new logo. It would be nice to have something that has our logo.
I would love that, because I mean, it'll look a lot weird, or it might look weird if it was just the new LED sign and then this, outdated lens.
And that won't be that won't be a super expensive proposal. That'll be,
I just hope we can do it all kind of at similar times. Okay.
Yep.
That is great. So then the Friends meeting, April 8th.
We didn't have any requests for them, mostly because the way the calendar fell, and staff kind of thought it was this week, that the Friends meeting would be this week. But in the course of this meeting, they changed their process of the library applying for grant monies from them, and so things are going to be different, and we're going to have to figure out a way to adjust to it. Essentially, I'm just going to tell the staff, when you have an idea, write up the application and send it to me, and I'll send them. They'll take them anytime. It's just that if you want it to be looked at in the May meeting, they have to have it by May 1. If it's after that, it'll be in the June meeting. And my take is if the bills come due before then, it's just, we're going to assume that they're going to finance it, and we're going to pay for it. And if they finance it, they'll reimburse us. So.
Okay.
But they'll also write checks more often. They're going to do instead of once, they're going to write the checks every couple of weeks. So not sure what effect that'll have on things, if any, but.
Okay. So have we already gotten the IHLS update?
You did, yeah. I thought it would be, since I'm no longer the person on the executive council. It was Robert for a while, then it was me, and since it's Carol, I thought it makes sense for her to talk, do the talking about.
Yeah, that's totally fine. So we'll move on to old business and board openings. So I had reached out to Julie, I don't know, like earlier this month, and we had talked about Bruce Nim's candidates that had just graduated his program. I thought she was reaching out to them, and she thought I was reaching out to them. So I had reached out to her earlier. So I actually just sent notes to the two people that we had talked about. So I haven't heard back anything, but we are still looking for candidates. So if anybody has anyone that they would like to recommend, we definitely need finance people. So Greg, if you know of anybody that you could recommend, that, I mean, it's going to become necessary soon.
Mm-hmm.
So we are working. I am working on it, but we just haven't had any entrants yet. So, anything else? All right. So, new business building committee.
The building committee met last Friday for the first time in about a year. So in the finance meeting last month, finance and properties, we talked about, it might be a good idea for the board to adopt a space plan sooner rather than later, that we can then subsequently submit to City Council for approval. So we hadn't met in a while. There have been a few changes in needs. I have contacted the architects about that. Haven't seen anything new from them yet. But once we get that, the building committee will reconvene again and then recommend to this board a space plan, a recommended space plan. Again, everything building related now requires multiple bodies to okay. The building committee consists of, to get you guys up to speed, it consists of right now all the division heads at the library, 2 trustees, namely Sophia and Samantha, 2 foundation board members, 2 friends of the library board members, and deputy city manager John Kinseth. So once we get the changes back from the architects, we'll reconvene, we'll adopt something, and I'm going to, at the foundation meeting on the 29th of this month, one of the things that I am going to recommend is that as the organization that will likely spearhead any capital campaign, that they hire a capital campaign consultant to at least do a feasibility study. I don't know if anybody knows what effect the pandemic has had on the donor landscape, and I think it'd be good to have an outside expert come in and assess that. And if Sophia, Samantha, or Robert want to chime in and add anything, that's my summary. But if anybody wants to add anything, please do.
The other thing we talked about is eventually the board's going to have to discuss how we make any changes once the construction does start, but we're not even that close. But we'd have to decide like who's on the committee to make what kind of, like, if the architects come and say, we need to do this today.
It makes a lot of sense.
Need to figure it out.
It was recommended by Tina Zindel McWilliams, as the president of the foundation board, that we have a finance and properties committee already in existence. So let's say we get this thing off the ground and get it going. It might make sense for that committee to serve as the building committee, and they'd have to set parameters for change orders. Typically, there will be someone. We're way ahead of ourselves with this, but typically there's someone on staff who has the authority to approve change orders up to a certain amount of money, but over that, there's usually a committee that will handle that.
No, I agree. I mean, we're way ahead, but just one of the things we'll have to think about eventually.
Exactly. We did talk about it.
Okay. Any questions about the building committee? All right. Any other new business? Amy? Amy, do you have new business? Yeah.
Well, I guess I have new business.
Well, this is the last opportunity till we adjourn.
Okay. I am in the process. As you know, I'm not from here. I've lived here for a long time, very, very, very happily. But it's time to move. And so I'm going to be leaving shortly. Of course, I will remain a property owner in Decatur for some period of time. And so my resignation will be until that day.
Can I ask where you're moving?
What?
Can I ask where you're moving?
I'm moving to Rochester, New York.
Oh.
I hope it's okay that I outed you.
Yes, no, I almost said something yesterday, but
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
and I didn't know. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know
no, it's,
to tell everybody yet, but
yeah, and it's imminent. Today is T minus 21, so.
well, congratulations. It's
Thank
exciting.
you. Thanks.
Miss you.
And, it's not
Put it on the
Timbuktu.
record.
It's not, not a million miles away, so.
Right.
Yep, yep.
Is that where your family's from?
No, this is a very long story, but I've been visiting there for more than a decade, so I feel like I have friends there.
Are you gonna have any connections since you do art with RIT?
Yes, RIT and the museum and the Rochester Contemporary Gallery. So, I mean, they have a very active arts community, which I'm really excited about, and fantastic music because of the Eastman School and great parks, wonderful summers. Of course, the winters are a little hard to take, but
Lots of snowballs.
And just
Yes,
moved to
wonderful
Florida.
summers.
To be a snowbird.
and
So I'm going to tell a story right now on Amy, because Amy and I met we were on early in my tenure here, and we were on opposite sides of a negotiating table. And when I asked for 1 point, and her response was that, sure, Rick, and we'll give you a pony and a jetpack too, I thought, I really want her on my side.
Nice.
All right, guys. Well, I will go ahead and request a motion to adjourn. That sad but happy news.
Yeah, good luck on your
I will miss you all,
journey.
and I have so enjoyed being part of this and being part of the library. And I intend to keep my library membership, whether I'm a property owner or not, with remote.
Do you want to make the last motion?
Not recorded. Not
Yes, I make a motion to adjourn.
All
I
right.
second.
Okay, so we're going to go down the list. Susan,
Yes.
Sophia,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Carl,
Yes.
Samantha. Yes. So we are adjourned at 5:23.